this movie was messed up. This movie was insanely good, but messed up. I saw it in with only two other people in my theater, one person on the other end of the last row of my theater, and one person in front of me. And we were all just bouncing around the entire time. This movie was on the edge of your seat or squirming the entire time. Um, Definitely a horror, but like not like a jump scare type of horror, more like a disgusting, cultish type horror. And that's like, I don't really like jump scare horror. I think it's to me a lot cheap. A lot. This is not cheap at all. This is more of a psychological thriller with horror elements than pure jump scare type of horror. And that's more my speed, except the disgusting stuff in this movie, because it was disgusting. It was. But I got by that because that third act was unbelievable too. So these guys, these Raka Raka guys, like, I'm bought in. I like this better than Talk to Me. That I'll say that too.
Oh, this is, I thought that immediately. This is way better than Talk to Me. And then after this movie, I thought, like, first of all, you're getting Sally Hawkins with an even better lead performance than Sophie Wilde in Talk to Me. It was kind of crazy how it's like, okay, these YouTube guys, of course, A24 picks them up, right? Gets their movie made. But you're like, okay, can they step it up? And holy shit, did they ever. And maybe the budget went up a little bit, but honestly, probably not too much. You know, I feel like they could have made Talk to Me with a budget of $100. But this one, wow, just the blood, the bones, like the glass shards in the skin. This movie was an absolute trip, and it was great to watch with a crowd. I had a packed theater. If you're always looking for a packed theater and you like a large audience to watch a movie, which you should for this one, for the reactions, go on Tuesdays. Discount Tuesdays. It never fails. I think you're more likely, if it's like a, you know, ballerina type of weekend at the box office, not like Superman or Fantastic Four, you might get a more packed screening on Tuesday than you would on Friday or Saturday. So I recommend you do that. But these Raka Raka guys, after watching this, they're 2 for 2 right now. And I thought this was like a huge step up from Talk to Me. But when are they going to be in the same conversation? Like Osgood Perkins, you know, off Long Legs, the monkey. He is trying to break into that, you know, upper echelon of like elite horror filmmakers. When are the Raka Raka guys going to get some respect? Because I still don't think they have it after the first week of this release. People should be talking about this movie more, Ricky.
This movie came out at a tough time, right? Because it came out technically last weekend, right? So you have like Mission Impossible going on. You have Ballerina going on. You have, what's the other major one? Lilo and Stitch going on. You have a bunch of these other movies where, yes, maybe this one is the only horror there, right? But still, a lot of the horror audience still is going to see Tom Cruise and maybe the last Mission Impossible. And maybe they'll see the nostalgic Disney Lilo and Stitch, right? And maybe the John Wick, like, oh, Ana de Armas. Like, there's still competition. So like this only made $8 million in its opening weekend. We'll see how it does. It has a budget of $15 million versus Talk to Me had a budget of $4.5 million, right? So they did get a little step up here, but again, $15 million to A24 nowadays is nothing. By the way, Talk to Me. Guess how much that made at the box office worldwide?
It was like 80 mil, I think.
92 million. So this looks like it's gonna come up short, and I think a lot of its timing. Talk to Me came out at the right time, had a good runway at the box office. But you bring up Oz Perkins, and like I think he's a good director, but these guys are better, dude. These guys get it.
Yeah.
And I am a little biased because this is more my speed. Like I said off the top, this is definitely a horror, but more psychological thriller than the Long Legs. I think where the Long Legs, the first act was, but then second and third acts were all like mythical, like crazy shit going on, you know, like
a little zany,
like yeah, a little zany, a little like obviously it's make believe, but different like tone. Less realistic, more like yeah, that's fantasy. Like the cult's inspiration here, without even they didn't even like, dude, they didn't even talk about the cult.
Oh, I was
shocked.
So I would say this is what I liked about the movie. These guys, they are pretty smart filmmakers for such young dudes, YouTube creators. They do not just spoon feed you what the cult is all about. You figure it out along your way. They do misdirection with the camera work when they're hinting at the blind daughter of Sally Hawkins' character. They don't show her face and makes you, the audience, guess on who that person might be. Is it Piper? Is it someone else? And then you find out, like, okay, maybe they're just kind of messing with you here and making you think one thing, and really they go the other way, right? The way they shoot it, I think it makes the audience think they didn't. I think there is some issue with not explaining the cult a little more in depth. I like that was a huge thing for me. Like, what are the rules? I think I understood them by the end, but these guys, they just show you that opening clip, right? The handheld camera, Blair Witch style, and they show like the operations of this cult, but that's all you get, right? Then they go back to it every once in a while. You got Sally Hawkins' character doing some homework, all right, on what the cult does, how they operate, but you kind of are just figuring it out along the way, and it makes it really hard to predict the end of a movie, which is great for a horror film experience. No.
Yeah, I think I'm a little mixed on it, where they don't explain the cult or anything. And I think on one hand, it's great, right? We don't need an origin story. Like this is a hour 39 minutes, right? I could not do a 2-hour movie of this, right? This was a perfect runtime. So if you do an origination of the cult or how Sally Hawkins' character finds out about the cult and whatnot, right? We didn't even talk about the husband. Like, where the heck is he?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of unanswered questions where at first I'm like, wow, that's good. Like I could not do a whole backstory or like a flashback nostalgia type deal here, right? But then other times I'm like, we kind of need a little backstory here because this Sally Hawkins character, how the hell, like you can't just say, oh, grief, we're dealing with grief and loss, buddy. We need more. We do need more because this is a huge leap for us to just say, okay, we're gonna ride with you here, raka raka. But so I'm kind of mixed on it. If I can see both sides of the coin.
They don't tell you how she got in touch with the cult and their methods or anything like that. Is she a part of the cult or not? That stuff maybe you could have used a little bit more of. For me, it's more about the Ollie character and his and the Ollie character. I'll leave it at that 'cause we haven't said spoilers yet, so I'll leave it at that. I think like the ending, how it ensued. I think there is just a couple questions I have, but overall, I think they did a pretty good job explaining it with minimal backstory, doing it through like camera work and doing it through like dialogue that doesn't feel like they're just spitting exposition at you. And I want to talk about Sally Hawkins because you're right. Like, it's amazing how we just didn't know she was in this movie, and she gives arguably a top 5 performance of the year so far, in my opinion, at least. I haven't thought too much of what that top 5 would be, but after watching her and her going kind of against type, when you think about Sally Hawkins, you think of Shape of Water, and you think about this innocent, middle-aged woman who never raises her voice, is someone that is charmed by a freaking sea monster in The Shape of Water. And that's what you know her for. And this one, she is so much louder. She's dancing. She's scary as shit. She's unpredictable. I think she was the anchor for this movie for sure. And I think this is something that, like, at the Rocka Rocka guys are like, yeah, we have everything put together. We can do the technical stuff really well. The story's working pretty well, but you need like a hammer of a performance. And I thought you got that from Sally Hawkins here. The kids, they're kind of just, they're there, and I don't really care about them. The Andy guy was kind of off and on for me. Piper, it's like she's just there, but Sally Hawkins is bringing it in this movie. We needed that.
So you know her from obviously Shape of Water, Paddington. Like think about it, this is Paddington. You know,
It's a good casting.
it is really good because it's not like one of these like because we've seen something like this where like oh it's an innocent mother, innocent like oh lost her daughter, but like it's obvious that she's a weirdo, but she's like subtle about it, and then it's through like her actions like at the funeral. And then it progressively gets weirder and then crazy. And then he's like, oh, this person is a lunatic. So I got no spoil in anything, but yeah, easily top 5 of the year because like we haven't had any massive performances so far. We've had the Mickey 17, Robert Pattinson. We've had the Sinners, Michael B. Jordan. I really like Black Bag, but none of that would even be in my top 5. Yeah, like
There's
we
a
haven't had
Couple from Sinners.
Yeah, I think Michael B. Jordan is the
Yeah, but
one here.
I'm even saying like top 5, like Jack O'Connell, I think is up there too. I think he was
Yeah,
amazing.
screen time is like my only worry with that one. But
Mhm.
like I guess lead performance, like this is just like wow. And this won't be any awards. Like there won't be anything. That's not what I'm saying here. But this is going to be something where we look back at the end of the year when we do like most underappreciated performances or movies, and we'll be bringing up this movie and this performance.
Just pure evil at times, uncomfortable, and just like cringy, and then like cringy but entertaining. You know, when she's doing that, and these guys, the Raka Raka guys, what I like about them, they are so to their roots for their movies. And Australians, something that no one will talk about this movie, and I know you're probably thinking it, the soundtrack, needle drops were great. You got uh Empire of the Sun, Alive, when you first meet the Sally Hawkins character, and then you also have Untouched by the Veronicas. God damn, no one's ever used a violin better. Okay, you got to go back to the frickin' 19th century to find a better violin than the Veronicas. Two Australian-based bands, but the Veronicas one, the Untouched song, when that was like the movie had just gotten to another level of craziness with Ollie interacting with Andy, and then Sally Hawkins and Piper coming home to see like Ollie in the state he was in. That to me, I was like, this movie has gone batshit right now. It has gone absolute batshit. And that's the other performance we got to talk about. Cause like I said, Andy, Piper, they were just they were there. We needed them, you know, but they didn't really do much to the movie for me. Andy, pretty emotional performance, a little, you know, but Ollie, physical performance from a child, physical performance. This guy, he went through it in this movie, convulsing, you know, the straight faced, the emotionality, the in and out of like the different character, like the different forms that he's taking. I think that was pretty impressive too. And by the end, my heart is with Ollie. I was like, damn. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Speak No Evil. That's what this movie kind of like was reminiscent of. If you could kind of pull something, and that kind of gives a hint of what the plot is kind of like. But Speak No Evil type of vibes. But this performance is way better than the one I saw in Speak No Evil. You know,
More to do.
I really like that kid.
Plenty more to do. I think you said it. Uh, and I said it earlier, where like if we had another top billing of kid performances, this would be Ollie would get a hard look here. He would get a hard look here. And just real quick to get back to the soundtrack because you jumped ahead right before I wanted to
All right.
cut in. Again, like think about the songs that were in here: Untouched, Freaks,
Yes.
Alive.
Give me trumpet.
Yeah, but like even just the titles. Untouched, Freaks, Alive, the song at the end, The Broken Circle, right? These are YouTube guys. They're doing this like meta-ness on purpose, right? Or breaking the circle. Sorry, breaking the circle is the song, and literally the breaking the circle.
Little literal, little on the
It's no,
nose.
but like it's very literal. But like this is like YouTube where like you're not thinking about it in the movie until afterwards. You're like, got it, and that's where like the psychological part, what I like, where it's very literal, meta, whatever you want to call it, but in the moment you're not thinking of it, and that's what's good. That's good directing. That's good writing. That I think that was smart.
And my flaws with the movie, I can't really talk about without spoiling it. But just to kind of give, if people want to jump ahead to Ballerina, well, I just want to just the ending felt a little slapped together to me. Wasn't as satisfactory as I was hoping. And that kind of held it back a little bit. Like I thought the second act was absolutely humming, the beginning of the third act humming, and then where we got and where we ended up, I think we could talk about it in a sec, and we'll put in timestamps and everything. But the other thing was like the rule following of the cult, right? The rules of the world that we're in. What are they? Are they clearly defined, and are they clearly followed? Those were my two big things, you know. But acting, camera work, script, like to me, great. I love this movie, Ricky Flex. Any other strengths or flaws you want to bring up before scores?
I'll just say this too before we get the spoilers, just because I people that aren't going to listen to that part, I just want to mention. I was thinking of Talk to Me during this whole movie, and I'm trying to create a formula of these guys. I'm like, all right, who's going to die? How is this going to happen? And I pretty much almost hit it spot on. So as in everything that happened. Um, so I think their next project, again, they're very creative guys, obviously, but I was after seeing one of their movies, I was able to put together pretty much everything at the end.
Yes, I'm more like when I say what my issue is, it's like kind of the way it's slapped together.
Yeah.
It's the way, Piper, her story ends, how unsatisfactory it kinda was for the Sally Hawkins characters, and after the terrible things she did, I just wanted to feel a little bit more with that ending. That was my
Yeah.
big issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I totally agree with that. And I think for me, it's just like more just like kind of predictable a little bit just after
Okay.
seeing one of their movies. If you didn't see Talk to Me, then yeah, this would be unpredictable. But this followed the same formula.
Alright, let's do scores, and then we'll hit spoilers for anyone that saw the movie before we hit Ballerina. Ricky Flex, what do you give Bring Her Back?
I'm giving this a 90.
Wow, you're even higher
90.
than me. I'm an 86 for this one. Spoilers. You've been warned. I'll put a timestamp in. You can go listen to our review of Ballerina. But something I was so pissed that Sally Hawkins' ending was just her sitting with her deceased frozen child with half a face that has been eaten off by Ollie. After what she did to Andy, after what she did with the social worker, after what she did to Ollie, after her punching Piper, you needed to have her die absolutely gruesomely because that was a freaking evil character, so obsessed with getting what she wanted, so selfish. She needed to have some type of harm come to her, Ricky Flex. I wasn't happy with that ending.
Man, yeah. As an audience member, I was upset by it, but I get it. I get it. I think it was really good. Like before, like when she puts the line in the pool, right? And around that same time period, it's the same time when Andy checks his phone for the weather, right? And he sees heavy rain in the forecast, right? And that's where I put two and two together and I started figuring out like what this movie's gonna happen. So I kind of did like it. I kind of did like it as like just looking at it from like a structural standpoint. But as an audience member, I'm like, this mother effer's gotta die. It's gotta die. Like, think about how many just in this movie, how many like serious tier one laws she broke. Like egregious, like worst of the worst. Like so many,
Yeah.
so many. And then even to get to the point where she was adopting kids, she committed a lot, a lot. So this is all-time bad human. If we did another top billing of like all-time bad humans in movies, this would be up there. She'll be up there.
Kidnapping, multiple homicides, child abuse, right? Assault, like the list
And
goes on and
physical
on.
and mental abuse. Watching the freaking hangings and eating people, cannibalism all the time, starving
Yes.
people, starving children.
Something also I was kind of not happy with in the third act is Ollie attacking Piper at the end. I'm like, this is where Ollie should be snapping out of it a little bit and turning more into like
Inside the circle.
the Robbie Bird, I think was the character's name. Robert Bird. I forgot what it was.
Or,
Something you
God,
just saw it, so you might know.
I thought it was Charlie or something.
Might be Charlie Bird. Um, but to have him at the end after you have Sally Hawkins still in the pool, Piper getting away, and then Ollie attacks Piper. I
Right.
thought they would have some type of like connection, before Piper goes off and her just running away. It's like I think that we could have had something a little more satisfactory. I felt so bad for the Ollie character, having him outside of that circle, right? Basically being burned, every time he stepped outside of that circle and having to go through an unimaginable amount of pain to kind of return to his former self. It was good in that way. But to see him walking around with Anakin Skywalker eyes, he had a bigger belly than a bear before they hibernate in the winter, dude. It was nuts. The physical, appearance of the Ollie character, him eating the wood and the table, him eating the knife, the
The
shards
knife
of
scene.
glass
Oh
in his
my
head.
god.
You hear the crunching of the knife. That was a wild horror movie character.
The knife scene was the one where, like you said earlier, how you saw it in a pack theater and you'd recommend to see this in a pack theater. I saw it the opposite, where I just had a couple people I could see, and we were all looking at each other from a distance, like, what is going on here? And I was like, at the knife scene, I was kicking my legs up in the air. I was like, oh my god! I was squirming around. I was like, thank God no one was next to me. It would have been too hot in there. I would have been too like uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable when nobody was in the theater. And I remember seeing Talk to Me in a packed theater. Obviously, I agree with you. It's better, but wow, I was all over the place. I was all over the place, and that knife scene was like the Kickstarter for me, where I was like, "How am I going to get through this movie? How am I going to do it?"
Something I also wanted to bring up is the rules of this cult. You find out over time that what Ollie is, he is kind of the servant of Sally Hawkins' character. He eats someone, cannibalism. He eats someone or ingests someone and then breathes that person's basically spirit into another body that's already dead. So what you have is Piper, like you have the Sally Hawkins character trying to drown Piper. Ollie eats Sally Hawkins, frozen, dead on ice, actual child, and then is trying to breathe the life into Piper. Like that was batshit. Like the cannibalism aspect, I'm like, this movie is off the wall right now. But what I didn't understand is that so she cuts the hair of Andy's father at the um funeral and then has Ollie eat the hair. And then you have Andy see his father. Like, how does that even work? Like, I don't understand how that worked because you had the kid, Ollie had to breathe life into Piper to bring back Sally Hawkins' daughter. Like, how does he ingest that hair? And then all of a sudden the dad appears like out of nothing. That makes no sense to me.
There's a lot of problems, like you mentioned earlier, with the rules. There's a lot of problems, and that's a big one for me. Where like Andy's starting to go crazy after that, right? And it's affecting the relationship, and he's trying to get guardianship in a couple months of Piper. And obviously, he has that past, which we come to find out later exactly what it was and how it relates to Piper. And it's like, oh, but how they get there, the rules weren't easily followed. Where you like in John Wick that like we're about to do like a review, like you before the movie, there's no business conducted in the Continental.
Strict,
You know,
obvious, overt rules.
we need and like obviously over the course of 4 additional movies, you already know that, so you don't need to say it again. We were never given like proper rules here, and to be honest, like sometimes it helps it, like I said off the top, where it's like that oh, like I don't know what's gonna happen here in the audience, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat because you don't know what like any of the rules. But then at some points, like that one, it's like that does affect your viewing experience and how your understanding of it. And that is where like I do have a problem.
And then also, you have just like Andy heard his dad, Piper, before she finds out Andy is dead, she hears Andy's voice. Does that mean Ollie was having a little afternoon snack of Andy?
Jesus. Yeah. See, I do. I think that's a rhetorical question because you're not asking me. I don't know.
I'm just saying, what did you think? I'm like, do you
Oh, you
think
actually
that
are asking me.
you
I think
think he
that's the
was
problem.
taking?
I don't know. That also threw me off. So I was like, Andy's dead. How like so when she said the voice, like she heard the when you heard the voice, Andy's voice, I'm like, oh my god, Sally Hawkins feed Andy to the kid? But like, how would that make sense to bring Kathy back? Because I'm trying to put together the rules in my
And
head.
Kathy is Sally Hawkins' daughter for anyone
Oh
who's
yeah,
listening.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is that going to bring her daughter back? And it doesn't. Like if
No.
you look at the rules and you look back, so that part doesn't make sense either, and it just throws you off. And obviously, in some movies, yes, they want the whole point is to throw you off, but not in this one. Not in this one. And if they ever say that, that's a cop out. That was a mistake in my opinion.
The rules are a little loosey goosey or just undefined, but I don't have any other thoughts, Ricky Flicks. I think we did a nice job laying them out.